Let's talk just really quickly about something that a lot of people don't know is you're not just solar. You're not actually exclusively solar anymore. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so we launched Roofing Exclusive about 18 months ago. It's been going really, really well on the Google platform because people go to Google when their roof starts to leak or they
100%.
They want to replace their roof. So Roofing Exclusive has been blowing up. We have Pest Control Exclusive that we're launching, Security Exclusive. We've already run some campaigns in those spaces successfully. So now being at Door-to-Door Con, we're looking forward to meeting some other pest and security companies. But then also, we're looking at debt consolidation to help people because credit card debt is such a big issue. And if we can help resolve those things with some debt consolidation, attorneys and firms, then we can go and once they're financially qualified, we can go and give those back to financing and solar and roofing and all those things.
Jonathan Gibbs here on the Expand podcast here at Door 6 with Rich Feola. This is really special for me because I have followed you online and I've been doing some of what you've been doing. I've been in solar for 11 years and I don't come from door to door. So this whole experience over the last couple of years moving to Utah has been new for me. I was really in lead gen. I spent most of my life in lead gen. And man, we have just watched Solar Exclusive blow up. I mean, you guys have just blown up. In fact, you shared something with me right before we turned the mics on. How much you guys spending right now on monthly leads?
$3.5 million on Google and YouTube.
$3.5 million, and I've always said whoever spends the most on these platforms learns the fastest because that's actually the learning curve. The learning curve, some of this stuff is only learned through spending. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the more data that you can compile and as fast as possible is just going to be able to sharing that data, not like sharing leads because everything's exclusive with our clients, but it's like piling up all the data from all of these different campaigns nationwide in 45 states just makes it so that we can target higher quality candidates, people that are more financially qualified, people who actually have purchase intent who want to buy solar or roofing or whatever vertical we're looking at. So we're expanding to other ones too.
What was amazing to me when I was in marketing is really how different all the markets, like ads that work in this state or this region, don't necessarily work in the other regions. Like how many states are you marketing in right now?
Yeah, about 45 states currently.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
and so you have happy customers right now in 45 states?
Yeah, so it's basically, we learn about the markets, we learn about the net metering regulations. We have to mention batteries in some markets. We have to mention, we can't mention necessarily a total offset in other markets. So it's a lot to, manage, especially with NEM 3.0 coming up. We're emphasizing the urgency to go solar now because, once April comes, it'll still work for most people. It's just going to have to be structured differently. So, the ads are going to have to change, the messaging is going to have to change. But overall, just being on top of the industry and knowing all these markets and learning a lot from our clients and getting feedback from them, saying asking them questions, how they're selling, really helps us prepare the lead so that we can educate them so that they're predisposed to more highly convert to solar.
Yeah, let's talk about that because a lot of people don't realize that a long-term how much complicated a long-term advertising campaign is. There's no shortage of companies that offer all kinds of crazy things online and then their account gets shut down and they just open up a new account. But to keep an account on these platforms for the years that you guys have been running and to run the volume that you're running, there's a lot of policy that you have to follow to protect the customer, protect your customer, the companies that are advertising and actually meet all the requirements of Facebook, YouTube, basically to be legit, right? To run a legitimate ad that doesn't get turned off, doesn't get shut down. There's a lot to that.
And there's a little bit of a secret with that too. I mean, obviously we're following the policies and it's always going to be something that happens where, some ads get, disapproved and you have to appeal them and go through that process. But one thing that we changed in 2019 when we did our big shift from Facebook more to Google and YouTube was that we run all the ads through our one account, through our one credit card.
Yeah.
So we collect the ad spend up front and then spend it on one account. So if you pay consistently and there's not declines happening consistently on multiple accounts, that's gonna Google likes it when you pay on time and they don't have an issue with you not paying. So
well, this is a big advantage too with people going with you. What you just tapped into is what we learned running our own campaigns for a long time is you can't just spend a lot of money. They limit on how much you can spend and the exposure. So if someone wanted to spend $100,000 a month on solar ads, it would take, what do you think, 6 months, a year to work up to that?
To build up the account to that point. So now that we have one seasoned account that's really, seasoned over the last 5 years, 6 years, we could just keep scaling up and up. And we've actually done some research on this. Like our ads are the most viewed on Google and YouTube the last 3 years running.
That's amazing.
So
that's amazing.
We're taking up about 26% of the market share. The next biggest one is like at 13%, which are like some of the other lead vendors, like Solar Reviews or clean energy experts, or even like SunPower runs a lot of ads. So they're like 2, 3, 4, and 5. But like that means that we only are taking up 25% of the market share. So we could hypothetically quadruple our spend and still be able to maintain a relatively same cost per lead. So we're just at the tip of the iceberg. Really.
So this is a great platform for new companies and established companies, because new companies who haven't figured out all the rules and regulations and how do they launch a good campaign that doesn't get turned off basically or shut down, They can go with you. But someone who's looking to spend a lot of money, they almost have to go with you or someone like you in order to spend a lot of money right out the gates because of your aged account.
Correct. Yeah, and we have a ton of clients who are spending 6 figures a month. Our biggest client spends about $600,000 a month in about 12 different states.
So let me ask a few questions. I think a lot of I've been waiting to ask for you. So are most of your clients today, are they phone sales or in-person sales?
So really good question. So in 2018, 19, and like before COVID, I would say it was about 80%, maybe 90% in-home sales and 10 or 20% virtual sales. And then once COVID happened, it was a tough transition for a lot of those in-home folks. They didn't really figure out the virtual thing, and they couldn't really,
It's different.
Yeah, it was very different, and many of them couldn't figure it out. But eventually, it was the new normal, so they had to figure it out. And now it's about 50-50. So we have 50% that are focusing on in-home, and then 50% that are focusing on virtual.
That's amazing. I mean, that was hard for us because these ads can be very expensive. And so some of us needed to do insides, in-person sales in order to get our money back. But now you're saying the closing rate now is getting, for the teams that have really learned it, to do the virtual sales good enough that they can afford to spend this kind of money on leads because they're getting that conversion over the phone.
Yeah, exactly. The conversion rates are obviously lower on virtual sales, slightly, but the cost per lead is much lower because you could target a larger geography. So it ends up being that the cost per acquisition remains about the same. So we average cost per acquisition. We have some clients who I don't know how they're doing it, but they're like $200-$300 cost per acquisition, making $5,000-$7,000 per sale. That's just ridiculous. But it's not common. But most of our clients are anywhere between a $600 and $1,200 cost per acquisition, which is still great for.
Oh, it's amazing. That's way below what setter pay is right now, right? Where setter's getting $3,000 to $5,000 for accounts in a lot of these marketplaces. So I think most people have a budget. So talking about if I wanted to try it, if I'm a company of any size, and I've heard about Solar Exclusive for years, I'm curious, I want to try this, I want to supplement or start a new department with these type of ads versus door to door. What's a starting package look like? What does it cost to try something big enough I'm going to get enough leads to know if it works or not?
Yeah, for sure. So, you want to give it a long-term perspective because sometimes with these campaigns, they take a little bit of time to dial in. It could be some clients, they start and they're like, I've got 5 sales in the first week. This is the best thing since sliced bread. That's amazing. That happens sometimes, about half the time. And the other half the time, it's it's a little bit slower in the beginning. First 2, 3, 4 weeks, a little bit slower. Maybe I close 1 or 2 deals, break even. And then in the second month, it starts to really ramp up, third month, et cetera.
So what's a minimum budget and period of time? I want to try it and I want to give it enough time to cook. What should I prepare myself?
3 months minimum,
3 months.
6 months ideal. And then the smallest package we have is about $5,000 a month.
Okay.
But we have clients we have different tier structures, and as you go up in tiers, the better your cost per acquisition will be.
So $5,000 a month for 3 to 6 months. So someone should be budgeting $15 to $30K to try this. And that's not really a lot when you think of most people spend more than that on 1-2 week blitz if you're looking at the food and the travel and stuff like that. So I think that's digestible for a lot of people. So Solar Exclusive, they've been very successful for a number of years, and a lot of people know that. I feel like you've created a really great brand. Let's talk just really quickly about something that a lot of people don't know is you're not just solar. You're not actually exclusively solar anymore. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so we launched Roofing Exclusive about 18 months ago. It's been going really, really well on the Google platform because people go to Google when their roof starts to leak or they
100%.
They want to replace their roof. So Roofing Exclusive has been blowing up. We have Pest Control Exclusive that we're launching, Security Exclusive. We've already run some campaigns in those spaces successfully. So now being at Door2Door we're looking forward to meeting some other pest and security companies. But then also we're looking at debt consolidation to like help people because credit card debt is such a big issue. And if we can help resolve those things with some debt consolidation, attorneys and firms, then we can go and once they're financially qualified, we can go and give those back to financing and solar and roofing and all those things. So
it sounds like you're just taking everything you've learned and you're really just applying it to now online lead generation. You're just becoming an online lead generation for broader categories.
Multiple verticals that are interrelated, yeah.
And I'm sure you're learning some things too now in HVAC that's actually helping you optimize the solar leads and things like that.
Exactly, yeah. Because like a lot of our clients, they offer HVAC as part of their solar package, and so like we've run HVAC ads with like a solar hook or like vice versa, just solar ads with an HVAC hook. So, and then just regular HVAC ads alone. So, they're all kind of interrelated, especially roofing and solar are very, very good together because you can kind of roll the roof into the deal. And even though you can't get the tax credit on it, you can at least roll it into the financing package.
I agree. I think that's still an undercapitalized opportunity is like more coordination between roofing and solar from a sales standpoint and an install standpoint. Let's talk about this. A lot of people are coming here, and one of their big takeaways from Door2Door is not just finding good vendors, finding good partners, but it's also, expanding their minds, right? Expanding their routines. So you've had this company that is growing hundreds of % year over year. You're growing into more verticals that are just exploding. You've got, all these demands on you. How do you balance, family and the other things going on in your life? Like, what is your routine like? What are some of those things that have helped you got through these growth seasons?
Yeah, definitely. So like we've been in business for 6 years now, started in 2017. And my first 3 years in business, I just burnt myself out. Like I was working 16, 18-hour days, drinking a lot, way too much coffee than I should have, and neglecting my wife and daughter. And, it was tough. It was tough to like build this business into what it was. But like I was hustling so much at that time, but it wasn't tipping the scales. I was waking up at 5, 6 a.m., like trying to get a morning routine.
So more hours wasn't equaling more growth?
More hours was not equaling more growth. Like the big morning routine that everyone suggested, like you have to have this 2, 3 hour, 4 hour morning routine, like work out and meditate and do all this stuff. Like it was just burning me out. That by the time the middle of the day came, I was like exhausted and I was like burning, the midnight oil.
Yeah.
It wasn't really working.
I mean, it clearly works for some people, but we're different.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of different kinds of people out there. What did you find was your formula?
Yeah, so my formula was obviously duplicating by hiring the right people that had better strengths than me and stuff that I didn't like to do. Like, I'm more of like the visionary, like creative mind. Like I'm good with all the tech stuff, like the behind the scenes, like keeping up with the ad platforms and keeping up with, the technology behind the scenes. But I could really find better people for that were more suited for that so I could focus more on creativity and ads and marketing and the visionary stuff. So hiring the right people, putting them in place, and then I just started working less because I had less on my plate, more time to think, and now I like sleep into like 8 a.m., have a cup of coffee, and just start working. Like I don't do a morning routine. Like I get more done in like 6 hours than I did before in 16 hours. So I mean, it doesn't work for everyone, but it works for me.
No, I think you're touching on something that's really good. And it's actually, there's a video that's been recirculating a couple years ago that I got. Because when I was building Lumia, I was working 100 hours a week, at IVs every Monday, like coming into my office. And it was intense. But there's this clip of Jeff Bezos, and he talks about, well, maybe when you're in startup mode, working 100 hours a week. But he goes, my job today is to make 3 or 5 good decisions every week. And cutting down the sleep doesn't necessarily help do that. Like if I get 8 hours of sleep every night, I'm more even, I'm more balanced, I can make good decisions. And since your role is creative and strategic, really boils down to good decisions, right? Good choices.
Yeah.
That just feeling really healthy, feeling really recovered actually facilitates you doing your job better.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I think there's a lot of people out there that are probably encouraged to hear that because we're not all The Rock Johnson. Not everybody can get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. I do get up early in the morning, but I'm not a morning guy. I feel like my creative time is really actually late at night. When's When's your creative time? When do most of your ideas come to you?
Yeah, in the evenings mostly. Like even when I'm just like hanging out, like an idea will come into my mind, like even after I'm not working. But also like from like 2 to 6 p.m. is like an ideal time for me to like get a lot done, because it's just like, yeah, I'm not a morning person at all. So I need my sleep in the morning. Like I just do better once I've had a few cups of coffee and got some of my projects done.
Well, I think the world of what you guys are doing, as someone that's run online campaigns for more than a decade, it's hard. It's harder than it seems. And there's a lot of companies that will promise you a lot of stuff and they'll get you a good response, but then their ads will get delisted because they're really using tricks.
Right.
So to authentically use the truth and to use that for years, for 6 years, and to grow your campaigns, I think it's a real testimony to that you guys have built a real solid brand and you guys have really cracked the code on YouTube and Google and Facebook. So congratulations on building a huge brand. And you're not exclusively solar anymore, so maybe there's a new name coming. But roofing exclusive. So people that are here at Door to Door Con, you're going to see them. They have a wonderful booth right as you walk in. Solar exclusive, roofing exclusive, and you can try this product out for as little as 15 to 30 grand over 6 months and kind of see what everybody's talking about.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate your
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. It was
thanks
great.
for inviting me on.